Hello there. I'm Critical Eeks. I do reviews and critiques of comedy shows, stand-up comedy, and comedians on podcasts. Today I will be diving into the special by Joe List called Enough for Everybody. And I won't lie, though I've seen a fair amount of Joe List on podcasts, interviews, and especially on Red Bar Radio, I've never watched his actual stand-up before. Friends of the channel will likely note that I'm usually very fair. Even if I don't like someone, I give their specials or appearances a, quote, Eeks score, which I judge and measure to the most fair capacity that I can. With Joe List, I must try even harder to suspend my distaste, because I find him to be, if nothing else, not that funny. I watch Tuesdays with Stories from time to time, which is his podcast with Mark Norman, and I see him attempt kind of on-the-spot one-liners. I remember seeing him on Red Bar, and guess what? Mike isn't a fan of his. I'm doing this not as an act of hatred, but as an exercise in being a fair, unbiased, and just critic. So I won't show you any examples of the many reasons or moments for which I find him, I guess, icky. Instead, we're going to jump right on into his special. Buckle up.
What's going on? We all right? What happened? Do I have jizz on my shirt? The guy was really nice. What happened? I got a hair out of place?
Oh, fix his hair.
Yeah, fix my hair. Oh, thank you. That'll do it. Now, you know what that is? That's a reel right there. Bang! That's more important than the special. Let's get a nice reel. Comedian. Hair gets done. 300,000 views.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe List.
Thanks. All right. Well, thank you. That's very nice. All right. Thank you. I feel like I got here too quick. I should have let you guys. I should really let it like, ah. It's just stupid when I'm standing here and you're doing it. I'm like, I should have that should have been going on. I'm like weaving through. And like, ah.
Let's do a to be fair to kick it off. Yes, this comes off as awkward and sort of off kilter, but I think that's just Joe List's style. It seems like he is sort of a nerdish type and leans into that for his comedic persona. Let's keep that in mind as we push forth.
I'm like weaving through. And like, ah. It's weird doing a special at a comedy club because I'm getting ready to come up and I'm just like right there. You guys can just see me. Like, there's like, oh, there he is. Like when you go see Springsteen, you're not like, this is gonna rule. There he is. He's at the end of the row. He's in our row right now. He's just like, hey.
Joe does a good job of addressing the weirdness in the room, and hopefully he won't play that up too hard. Meta is cute, but Dan Harmon did it right, and everyone else is just chasing the dragon.
Oh, here it's my time. Here we go. You know, next year we're gonna build a thing. I'm gonna pop up like Apollo Creed, you know, and then die. No. This lady's going like this. Don't die. I'll try not to. I would be more upset than you would if I died. You know? All right, well.
Confirmed. Being awkward seems to be his thing. Fair enough. Honestly, it's going to be hard to score lower on the Eek scale than Chad Daniels did, so I have high hopes for old Joe List. As always, I go into this review praying he'll prove me wrong, hoping against hope that that I'll start this off with a soured opinion and come around at the end as a new fan of a brilliant man. Let's see if he can deliver.
All right, well, nice to see everybody. I feel like I recognize a lot of people. Thanks for coming. I know you, right? Yeah, we met. This is where I'm at in my career right now. After shows, like really like hot women will come up to me after the show and they're like, "Hey, excuse me, hi." And I'm like, "Oh, hey." And then she's like, "My autistic boyfriend loves you."
Can't go wrong with a little self-deprecation, and that was pretty funny. I could see that happening. It feels real. Joe seems self-aware, if nothing else. I've often said that the difference between self-awareness and self-consciousness is self-confidence. Or at least, that's what I just said. Joe has seemingly made a character of himself, and I can respect that, regardless.
Anyways, thanks for coming. You guys ever have this? Is this relatable? You ever think you're like a pretty good-looking person, and then you see a photo of yourself, and you think, I should kill myself for the good of society? You guys... Like you're at home looking in the mirror and you're like, hey, not bad. And then someone tags a photo of you on Instagram and you're like, maybe I'll go to the center of town and shoot myself in the face tomorrow just to let everyone know that I know this is unacceptable. You guys? There's too many photos. That's the problem. I wish I grew up in like the 30s where there's one photo of you your whole life. If it sucks, you just burn it, you know? Every day there's like 5 new photos of me online. They're all, I just want to die. Your friends try to make you feel better. They're always sweet. They're like, it's just a bad photo. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, but it's a bad photo because I'm in it though, right? Like, it's not a blurry photo. It's a 4K HD color photograph of exactly what my face looks like.
This is a good example of taking the wind out of the sails of a bully before a gust can head your way. To avoid being too repetitive, I'm going to skip over the rest of his self-deprecation, but honestly, it's a good move for him. Let's see here. He talks about his ugly friend and his hot friend, which I guess is fine. His ugly friend can't get laid, and apparently he pretends that's not because his friend is ugly. And I guess his hot friend starts giving the ugly friend advice.
Then he comes back. My hot friend starts giving him advice. Nobody wants advice from a hot person. No offense if you're hot. I'm looking around. There's a couple of you here, but not many. And he says this. He goes, you need more confidence. And I'm like, no, he needs your face. That's why you're confident because you have a good face. He has a bad one.
Can't help but feel like the ugly friend may or may not be Joe. Let's see where he takes it.
You're confident because you have a good face. He has a bad one. And he says, this is hot people advice. He goes, this is what I do. I just walk up to women in the park, start talking to them. Then my ugly friend gets hope. He's like, I can do that? And then I had to be the one that was like, don't do that. You're gonna get maced if you walk up to women in the park. Are you kidding? He can do that because he has a strong jawline and he's tan and his tongue is not visible when he's talking to other people the way yours is.
Now, I'm not saying I'm a total man babe, but I have no idea what it's like to approach the world as someone that looks like Joe List. Maybe that makes you hate me to hear me say that, but honestly, if it offends you, you're probably ugly. And to me, your feelings, well, they don't matter.
I'm like, you can get laid. I don't know how you're gonna get laid. You can do it. Everyone gets laid at some point, I think. I have sex all the time. I'm not a hot guy. You're probably like, well, how do you do? I got married. That's how I did it. That's my advice. People say when you get married, you stop having sex, but I think that's only true if you're like a hot dude that like, smashes puss or whatever. If you're like a hot guy that gets laid all the time, don't get married. You'll have sex less. But if you never get laid, get married. You'll have sex more. Like, what's the hardest part of getting laid? You got to convince somebody to come back to your house. You got to be like, come on, my house is fun and safe, you know? That's hard. Women are like, I don't know. You're like, I swear, promise, you know? That's like tricky. I don't have to do that. My wife lives in my house. I don't have to do anything. I can just turn and be like, you want to have sex? And that works. Not every time. I don't want you to think, you know. It works like 3 out of 10 times. That's not bad. I'm a baseball guy. That's all-star team, you know? You do that for 10, 15 years, you're in the Hall of Fame, so.
Joe, I'll give you that. That's funny. Again, this is a man, or rather, a comedian who knows his role in the universe, and he plays it up well. I don't relish in saying this, but Joe has a funny perspective. And where men like Red Bar may not agree with me, I cannot help but acknowledge that Joe's last joke made me laugh aloud. Bravo and touche, Joe List. Let's see if he can keep it up. Let's see here. He goes on to talk about how other dudes tell him not to be so nice to women, which feels played out to me for a special that came out in 2024. But, okay. He calls it hot people advice and acknowledges that he doesn't have the look for that line of thinking. Again, I like the self-awareness, but I'm looking forward to another source of humor here. He keeps mocking himself, and that's getting less fine the longer we endure it. Surely Joe can come up with some other source of comedy in his life, right? Let's see. He calls himself too nice and says that he'd call women beautiful and then tell them that he'd give them money to have sex with him. Honestly, this is the same joke in different shades. Change crayons here, Joe List, or face the wrath of Eeks.
I got a buddy, he's like one of these guys, he gets laid all the time. He's like a good-looking guy or whatever. And I was talking to him the other day about sex, and he goes, if I have sex with a woman, she's got to have perky breasts. That feels unfair, doesn't it? I mean, like, having a breast preference is fine, but perky, that's not even a physical adjective. Perky's like a mood. Perky's like, hi, you know? A breast can't be perky. That's like a woman be like, I'll have sex with a guy, but he's gonna have a chipper dick.
Honestly, that's funny. Say what you will, but Joe's way funnier on stage, so far, than he is in, I guess, real person. Let's say podcasts, because it's not like I've met the guy yet. But where does he go from here? Blissful balls, a patriotic asshole, no and no. He talks about how he thinks his wife is hot. He says he posted a pic of his wife on Instagram and how people said he's ugly and she's too hot for him. It's just more self-deprecation. He breaks it down to a sports analogy that I guess makes a salient point, but that's not why I'm here, eeksing him, so we'll keep glazing over stuff. He says his wife isn't fun, but he is, and says he's a more fun hang than his hot wife. Let's find out. Is his wife hot? Look, I'm a nice guy, so I won't share pictures or my personal opinion. But suffice to say, I'm less than willing to keep humoring this line of thinking. Does that make sense? I'm only 10 minutes in right now, so I'm going to skip ahead for all of you, and I will show you the next funny thing I hear him say.
I don't drink anymore. I don't do drugs anymore. I was never a big drug guy. I would like smoke weed, but I never liked weed. Are you guys weed people? Some? Oh, nice. Yeah, that's great. A few of you. I never liked it. I would always like freak out. Also, this is my issue with weed. You always like smoke in like a circle of like friends or strangers, and then you pass around like a joint or a piece or a pipe or a bong or an apple, whatever. And then it would come to you, and you'd be like, all right, the weed. Yeah. And then you pass it, you're like, all right, there goes the weed. Fun. But then it comes back like 30 seconds later, you're like, oh, more weed, all right. And then you're like, I'm buzzed. And then it would come back like 3, 4, 5 times. By the end, I'm like, I'm just completely out of my mind. I don't know if you guys, I don't know why we're still doing this. And eventually the guy on the other side of the circle would be like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, I didn't know we could do that. I have no... Nobody told me that was part of this. You're like Rosa Parks or some shit. You just like opened up a world of possibility. I'm gonna be sleeping under my bed for the next 3 days because I had no idea that I could be like, oh.
Okay, if you can't relate to that, you're a drug addict like myself and should be ashamed. That's hilarious, and give Joe the credit he deserves here. I know it's not cool to be put off by Doja, but a man who's honest about it, so long as it's not Sam Morril, that's a good guy in my book. Honestly, I feel like I'd like Joe List, IRL. He seems the type of guy that Shuban is, from reality TV. Google him. But I think that every group of humans needs a Joe List, or else everyone just feels too impervious to damage. Keep it up, Joe, and you may well make a fan of me yet. Joe makes some The Shining references, then he interacts with the crowd a bit. The audience member tells him that she's hot, and right afterwards the AC kicks on, and Joe makes a moment of it by asking if anyone else needs anything. And I'm not gonna lie, I just keep liking the dude more and more. Maybe it's just classic tricks that I'm falling for, but I like Joe List's set so far. Please don't tell Red Bar. P.S. There have been a total of 0 airplane jokes so far. Let's see here. He pretends to be an Italian asshole and then jumps back into his special, joking about reels as he does so. His wife is older than him, so that's good stuff. He says that he wishes he could go back to when he was 14 and when his wife was 18 and tell her that someday he was gonna see her butthole. But then she wouldn't see his. Anyway, here's where that goes.
Yeah. Have you seen his butthole? Oh. She never sees mine. I see hers, and I feel like I should be clear. We have sex, and sometimes we have doggy-style sex. Sex in the style of dog. And
I don't know if I can replicate how genuinely funny I thought that was, but, quote, sex in the style of dog cracked me the folk up. Bravo, Joe List. What else can you do?
style sex. Sex in the style of dog. And when you have doggy style sex, I don't know if you know this, but whoever's on the bottom, their butthole is sort of exposed. And I don't stare. I don't want you to. I'm not rude. I just kind of like, just a quick 3 Mississippis at max. I look at it the way you look at your hand in poker. I'm like. I'll check,
Okay, maybe it's the vodka sodas I've been pounding since my mother-in-law got here, but I'm telling you right now, this has me cackling. It's not hackneyed self-deprecation. It's honestly just being funny. You go, King. Let's see what else he can pull off here. He moves on to talk about how a-hole and b-hole mean the same thing, then just moves right on. His wife and him have been together for 11 years. He asks us if you've ever been comparing sex wishes with your wife and realized that you're not sexually compatible. He had a whole piece of paper, and his wife didn't have a list on paper. She suggested that they pretend there's someone in the other room, and so Joe just crinkled up his list of sexual suggestions. I guess I get it. LOL, sex stuff. Keep moving and shaking, my guy. But unfortunately, he goes on to joke about long dicks versus his dick. He asks if women know about the average penis size and thinks we should put it down to 2.5. Honestly, it runs a little close to that same self-deprecation thing. He says he likes dirty talk, but I'll leave it out because, meh. I'll skip the rest of this bit for you. It's not really my bag. He talks about how he was at a women's basketball game and how he used to start the chants, and a girl started chanting back from the other side, "You are ugly." He tried a "no, he isn't" chant, but his own schoolmates wouldn't join him. Instead, they said, "So are you." And he riffs on that for a minute or two. Honestly, he leans on people not liking him quite a bit for a dude that's, I hate to say it, pretty fucking funny. Now, the next joke I'm going to have to include on the Eeks scale.
Is this distracting? Should I move this? I don't like it this close because I want to grab it when it's here. Guys, you're going to shit. Get ready for this one. This is my impression of a British race car driver. You ready? Because it's over here, you see? Clip it. That's got to be huge.
That's a hard eek, Joe List. Please move on. You still got the audience on your side. Don't fuck that up for all of us now. He acknowledges that it's stupid, but thinks it's pretty funny, and says maybe that one should be in the special. I don't know. Maybe it's fine for a joke halfway through your set, but please move on. I'll make you a deal, Joe. Don't pull a Chad Daniels and intentionally tank your performance from here on out, and you will get at least a 5 out of 10, bro.
That's one of those jokes that's really stupid, but I'm like, maybe that should be in the special. It's kind of funny. I don't know. This is another one like that I think is hilarious. I was watching you guys saw the Batman movie. Doesn't matter. It's not great. But at one point, Batman gets a cell phone call, and he answers his phone, but I thought he should have been like this. Hello? Yeah, it's crazy. And his ears are up here. That's gold, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
I can't say that jokes like this bode well, and I'm a nerd. You may not think it from the sounds of my voice, but I've spent 7 years designing a tabletop role-playing game, so I'm nerdier than your friend who likes shit like Settlers of Catan. Anyways, he goes on to mention that his wife and him have sex. He says that she likes him, but he has a lot of anxiety.
We're in Greenwich Village right now. Did you guys get accosted outside at all? There's some... You did? Oh, great, nice. That was so genuine. You're like, yeah, as a matter of fact, we did. It's crazy out there, right? I'm scared. I got like fears now. I've had a couple run-ins. Some of you guys know the stories. I've had a couple run-ins with very aggressive homeless people this year. One was in Austin. 2 guys came up to me. They got right in my face, and they were like screaming at me. And then there was like a 3rd guy on a bike. I just took off. I run. I'm a runner. I have no pride. People ask me for directions in the city. I take off running. I don't give a shit. Then I came back to New York, right around the corner from here. I had a guy like do that shit. I was like, ah! I'm like, I don't know what it is. I was telling my buddy, and then he was like, he goes, well, what are you saying to these guys? I was like, I think what you're doing is called victim blaming, I believe. I just learned this term. I think I'm using it correctly. What am I saying? Do you think I'm talking shit to homeless people? Is that the vibe I'm putting out? I don't know, I said I got $50. Fight me for it, bitch. Should I not have done that? Was that a mistake? Because I wanted to help them out, but I don't want to give them a free ride. So I threatened to fist fight them for cash. I'm like, I didn't say anything. And then you feel like self-conscious because I've run a few times this year, and I was talking to my buddy, and I was like, am I like I feel like a pussy. Am I a coward for running? And then my friend was like, no, you did the right thing. And I was like, thank you. And he goes, yeah, because if you hit one of those guys, they fall on the ground, crack their head open, you can go to jail. And I was like, yeah, that's why I ran. I would have killed those sons of bitches. You get me. These hands are goddamn weapons. As I was running with tears in my eyes, I was like, don't make me beat the shit out of you guys.
Now, Joe List, that was a pretty long clip, but as you can see, I'm critiquing this, and thus it falls under fair use. don't make a mistake and copyright claim me now. Please. So far, I'm actually on your side, and I don't want to have to flip on you. To be fair, I wouldn't do it just because you upset me, but regardless, I hope you have the integrity to let a man do his eeks thing. As the special goes on, Joe makes jokes about his wife and how he and his wife and his mother-in-law were all hanging out, and his wife said she pees a little when she runs, and his mother-in-law told her that was normal, and then Joe leans in and says he thinks it's his fault, and I guess that's pretty funny. I don't know. He's losing steam halfway through, but I'm still pulling for the guy. Let's see where he takes it from here. He jokes about his 10-year-old niece telling him that she's trying to teach the dog to come, which I guess is a pretty funny play on words.
And then I had this. I thought this was funny, and I was hanging out. I have a niece, and she's 10 years old, and then we were hanging out, and they have a family dog, and the dog's name is Penny, and she said, she went, "Come here, Penny," and then she turned to me and she said, "I'm trying to teach the dog to come." Now, yeah, you guys are laughing already. That's funny. I thought it was funny also. Because come. Which, by the way, she's a child. I want you to know, I wasn't like, whoa, sicko, you know, I kept a straight face. But I wanted to be like, choke it a little and be patient, you know? I had that locked and loaded. Because I'm fun. But I didn't say it. I gotta wait like 10 years to be like, one time you said you wanted to teach the dog to come. Even then it won't be funny though, because she'll be like, "You've been thinking about this for 10 years? You creep."
I don't love admitting it, but that part made me laugh. The, quote, "you creep" of it all was a tag that, in my opinion, wasn't necessary, but the joke itself was funny.
Years? You creep? I told her mother, though. I thought this is where I went wrong. I told her mother, I was like, "Brooke said she wanted to teach the dog to come." And then her mother was like, "Why are you saying that to me?" What? And I was like, "Well, it's funny. Come." She was like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "Well, the dog didn't come. I don't know why you're like, can't you remove yourself from the situation and see that that's..." Anyways, I'm not allowed to see my niece anymore, but we had a good run. We had a fun 10 years together. That's a good length of time for a relationship, I think.
Admittedly, at the end of the joke, he pulled it off. I won't lie, I'm super impressed with Joe List in this special of his. We're at the 40-minute mark of 59, so there's still a whole third act that he could folk up. But honestly, he's been mostly strong for the duration of this thing. Quick reminder before we jump back in, though, please hit subscribe if you're liking what I do so far. I try to get one of these reviews out every other week and put out content weekly, so get after it and hit the bell so as you don't miss it. Because, from what I understand, that helps out the channel. Plus, if you want to tell me to fuck off, or that I suck, or that you love my voice, or you want to question my credentials, the comments are there, and I promise I won't delete a single one. Have at ye bastards. Anyway, let's finish this bitch.
Together. That's a good length of time for a relationship, I think. Whatever. I think I'm funny, and I think I'm a smart guy, too. I think I could be a pilot. You guys ever think that? You ever get on a... Are you a pilot? Oh, okay. Do you think you could be a pilot, too? I think I could do it. You ever get on a commercial plane? You're like, I could fly this goddamn plane. Me and you, buddy. You got pilot head. You look like a pilot. You're well coiffed, you know? I don't think it's that hard. Are there any pilots here? Yeah, fuck pilots. I think it's a bullshit job. I don't think we need all this reverence. What is it? You do this thing. You push this is like the takeoff. Here we go. There's like a couple clicks, couple switches up here. And if you get the wrong one, there's another guy. He's like, no, it's these two over here. Right here. You got a buddy up there. How easy is that? I don't get a buddy. It's just me up here. I've done a couple of jokes that didn't go great. I can't be like, Pete, what do you think? You got a friend helping out, and then you land. That's just, you pull it back, click those down, you scoop off the head shit. That's easy. I drive a car. That's way harder. That's feet and hands and texting. It's very difficult. That's a lot. Plus, there's autopilot, too. Which you guys, I always heard about that, like computers fly the plane, which I always thought was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then, like, I started getting upgraded. When you fly first class, you learn. Did you know this? The pilot leaves the cockpit. I had no idea. I thought the pilot, the whole flight was like... They're not. It's not even stressful. They're like walking around. They like grab chips and slap flight attendants on the ass and shit. They're like, ugh. They're not even in there. Like, nobody gives a shit about a bus driver. Like, if you tell people you're a bus driver, no one's like, what? Whoa. But a bus driver can't get up and walk around. Like, if you're on a Greyhound reading and the bus driver's like, what are you reading? What's going on, buddy? You're like, what the fuck? I don't really think it's that easy. I don't think I could be a pilot. But I do. What bothers me is they do like a meet and greet. That's what they feel very full of themselves. Like we land and the pilot's just at the front of the plane like,
That one took us a while, but old boy landed it. See? High comedy. Not gonna lie, old Joe List snuck in an airplane joke before I could clock it, but as he keeps going, I was able to see what was going on. Now, I call that out often, but I must acknowledge that one writes what one knows. Comics making airplane jokes is no more hack than YouTubers talking about other YouTubers. Sometimes staying in your lane means discussing things which, to others that don't drive, seem monotonous. But comics fly a lot, I critique a lot, and the world, well, it spins a lot. I don't hold it against any one of us to do the same thing in different tones. For fuck's sake, listen to popular music these days and tell me it's not just rehashed BS from ABBA. Either way, what I would otherwise deem a damning beginning to a comic's third act, I gotta say, I think Joe List has earned. Okay, here. Joe then goes on to talk about hotels and pizza deliveries. He says that when you're on the elevator, people always tell him that you hope you brought enough for everyone. I didn't know how to react, but here's how Joe does.
are we teaching that in community college? I don't understand. Literally everybody said, hey, look at everybody. And I never understand am I supposed to be like, what? Woo! Like, is it supposed to be hilarious? Or am I supposed to be like, I didn't bring enough for everybody. I go with it. This is what I do. I go, That's what I came up with. You know, like, when somebody's so dumb that you get dumber, you're like, whoa, whoa. I want to be like, I brought some for you. Yours is right here, you fucking piece of shit. You know, but that might just be my own.
I do. We do. All of us get it. In fact, even those of us who are, against all popular belief, rooting for you, had that reaction to that joke. Which I can't help but point out that you only brought up as a concept and don't punch up really at all. You point at a thing which is mildly funny, then don't make any jokes about it, and then, from all I can tell, move on entirely. Hard meh from old Eeksy here. But you're in the home stretch now, Joe List. Let's see if you can stick the landing. Okay, you talk about dumb people at an art exhibit and how your friend wants to touch paintings. which is pretty meh, but it beats what Chad Daniels was talking about this far into his latest special, so technically you're winning. Joe List, you're fucking winning, bro.
And he was like, what? And then I had to tell him, like, earnestly, I was like, you don't touch paintings. And then he goes, why? And that's when I realized I'm only a little bit smarter than him. I was like, I actually don't know why. It is dry. The guy that painted it's dead. And I was like, you know what? Fuck, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can touch paintings. I'm an idiot. And I just started touching it. Touches paintings, by the way. That's a fun term for your friend who's kind of a dum-dum, you know? Like, I grew up in the 90s, and we used the word retarded a lot. That was a big word. Yeah, that's no good now. I mean, that's a swear. I don't know if they emailed you guys or whatever, but that's out. You'll get fired for that shit. But touches paintings, that's kind of a nice replacement, you know? I'm talking like...
Now that is a good example of believing in your bit and sticking with it to the end. Even the audience has to acknowledge that it was funnier than they first thought it was going to be. That delayed response isn't due to lack of funny, it's just taking folks a bit to catch up with. And I know, call me crazy, but I call him like I see him. Seriously, folks, get your ass to Mars and go watch this special. It'll make you laugh. Or it fucking won't. Don't blame me. Anyway, we're almost to his closing bit, and we're going to pick out something between here and the end to share, but I don't want to spoil the whole thing. Joe deserves your like and, frankly, your subscription after this one. But moreover, so do I. So be sure to hit subscribe before you leave my dear channel.
I'll tell you this story, and then I gotta go. Like I said, I travel a lot. This happened to me recently. I had some gig. I forget where it was. It was like a long travel day. You know when you have like a long travel day, you can't eat a full meal, so you're like starving, right? I was like so hungry, and then I landed, and I was very hungry. But I also had to. I don't want to get too weird, like gross, whatever. But someday I'm gonna do a clean special. It'll be great. But I had to shit also, which is kind of rare that you're hungry and you have to shit. Those are usually separate, right? It's weird when you're like, I need food in both directions right now. Anyways, I landed and I was like, I'll order a pizza. You guys know me. I like to order a pizza. So I checked into the hotel, ordered a pizza. Then I checked into the hotel. Then I went up, I used the bathroom, and I don't want to get into the gory details, but the toilet got clogged. No fault of my own. It was an old hotel. I like to wipe a lot. The toilet got clogged, which is embarrassing, because now I have to call the front desk, which is weird, because I just met this woman like 3 minutes earlier. I gotta be like, hey, it's me again. Sorry I was rushing you earlier. I was keeping a secret the whole time we were talking, and now you know. But she was very sweet. She was very discreet. She's like, I'll send maintenance. And I was like, great, thank you. Then about 25 minutes passed. I swear to God, this is a true story. About 20 minutes passed. I got a knock on the door. I open the door, and I swear to God, there's a pizza delivery guy and a plumber just standing, just looking at each other like, are you? And I'm like, you're both in the right place, boys. Come on in. I had to be like, you're in there. You're over here with me. And I think legally we all have to fuck right now, because this is the most perfect porn plot. This might already exist. Pizza delivery, plumber, nerd, or whatever. The pizza guy's like, I'm here to stuff you up. And the plumber's like, I'm gonna unclog your pipes. And I'm on the bed, and I'm like, I hope you brought enough for everybody. All right, you guys are amazing. Thank you guys very much. Thanks for coming.
All right, so that wasn't the strongest closer, but it had a callback to a previous joke. It was unique, and honestly, very in the key of Joe, if you will. I can't lie, I was really entertained by this special, and as you know, I didn't start off with the highest of hopes. Joe List, if you're hearing this, Nice job, you nerdy fuck. I'm shocked that I have to say this, but here's your EECS score. A drum roll, please. It's a 7 out of 10. You kept it light, you made yourself the punchline when things got a little thin, and you honored your onstage character. You didn't try to be the hero, you didn't brag about your connections to other big-name comics, and you didn't overplay your hand as a nerd. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I look forward to your next piece of work. Red Bar, I'm sorry, but you, by your own description, hate stand-up comedy. I do not. And well, this kind of banged. It was a fun, harmless special. Writing-wise, it wasn't a mold breaker, but not everything needs to be. I'm satisfied, and if you are as well, or if you aren't as well, let me know in the comments. I hope everyone had as good a time as I did with this one. I won't lie, this is kind of a high water mark for my opinion on Joe List. Dare I say, I'm a bit of a fan now. It didn't go down easy. Bravo, Joe List. You're the highest scoring comic on the EECS scale so far, and I couldn't be more surprised. I expected to get into this thing and completely tear it apart, but here's to EECS and his objectivity as a critic. Cheers, my friends, my adversaries, and my passive witnesses. I love you all, especially those who don't want it. I have been Critical EECS, and I'm out. In the meantime, be nice.